Start the session now. Hi everyone. So my name is Shazia Khan, and today's session we're going to be doing, and the unit we're going to be doing, is equal opportunity and diversity. And there's 3 learning outcomes and the assignment discussion. So you'll be doing today, tomorrow, and then next weekend as well. And that will be the unit over. Okay, so it's equality and opportunities and diversity, and the first one we're looking at today is learning outcome 1, which is to understand the different types of prejudice, stereotyping and oppression. When we look at equal opportunity and diversity, without looking at your slides or anything, what does the first thing that comes to mind if someone asks you about equal opportunity? What do you think that means? Everyone will have a different definition, because everyone will think of it as, someone will have a different word for equal opportunity. Some people will define it as something different. What does it mean to you? Let's go with the first. Oyi, what do you think it means to you when we talk about equal opportunity?
Equal opportunity, that is like, how do I put it? What I can say about that is like equal opportunity.
You could have a different definition to Porter or Mavish. You lot could all have different definitions. Nothing's wrong, but what does it mean to you?
When I hear equal opportunity, I think of like discrimination and
yeah,
like how people have a problem with people's gender or sex or religion.
Yeah, excellent, Mavish. Thank you. What do you think?
And that we should be the equal opportunity, that we should be treated equally. No discrimination in dealing with any other another person.
Excellent, excellent. Claude, what do you think? Claude? No? Justin, anyone? Has anyone else got a different different definition or different understanding?
My opinion, all the people must be the same. There is no different gender. All the people is equal.
It's equal, yeah. So it's literally you all have a similar definition. Mavish, discrimination against, gender, age, anything like that. And then, everyone should be treated equal. And that will all apply in, if you think about it, the law relating to the rule of law in the UK. Everyone should be treated equal, no matter what their gender is, no matter what their sex is, no matter what their age is. Does that always happen, though?
No.
And do you think that causes issues for legal cases for discrimination and things like that? Yeah, it doesn't always happen. There's different forms of discrimination, and sometimes people don't think they are discriminating against someone. So, you really need to be careful that you know the law around equality and diversity and why it's so important. Okay, so grading of this unit, the following grade descriptors will be applied to the assessment of the unit. So understanding the unit is so important, that you understand the unit, because you will be doing your assignment around the unit. The knowledge, application of knowledge, what knowledge you have when you are doing your assignment, what you put into the assignment will identify your knowledge. The use of information, what kind of information you intend to use, communication, presentation, and quality. Key terminology. So like you said, your definition of equality and diversity. When we look at equality, it refers to providing equal opportunities to everyone and protecting people from being discriminated. And Mavish said that the fact that, someone can be discriminated against, things like the age, sex, sexual orientation. You must ensure that every individual has equal opportunity. And every individual is treated equally. It doesn't matter what their lives are. Doesn't matter if they're poor or if they're rich. But everyone should be treated equally, and that doesn't happen in some workplaces. And also, again, it doesn't happen in the health and social sector, because we always have this image of someone, and we all do it. And it's not just I don't discriminate, this, that. there is some form of discrimination in all of us in regards to, you know, maybe we think of someone's their protected characteristics, you know, we look at the way they dress, the way they look, and that is discrimination in itself. What is diversity? Diversity refers to recognizing and respecting and valuing differences. So equality ensures that every individual has equal opportunity, regardless of their background, identity, or experience. Diversity recognizes that though people have things in common with each other, there are also many differences. So, you know, with diversity, you know, it means understanding one another by simple tolerance to ensure people truly value their differences. So what kind of differences, when we look at diversity, what kind of differences can there be?
Race can be one.
Yeah, race, religion, you know.
Race, maybe in the food.
Yeah.
The food, yeah.
Yeah, you know, diversity is so important, not just within the workforce, but also within the community. You should, you know, if you're doing an event, an example, if you're doing an event to do with like people from different cultures, must you try to diverse your menu around them? You could yeah. So, you know, people from the UK like fish and chips, people from Jamaica like, you know, jerk chicken, things like that. You know, the diversity, you need to cater for everyone, and you need to make sure that, you know, you are embracing and celebrating this diversity, because it's so important in regards to equality and diversity. Then we've got inclusion. This is where those differences are seen as a benefit, and where perspectives and differences are shared, leading to better decisions. Everyone should have the right to equal access to employment. When employed, should have equal pay and equal access to training and development. Here you'll find some equal opportunities, diversity, and managing inclusion. So inclusion is an organizational effort that practices different groups and backgrounds and culturally accepted. So, you know, you need to accept different people's exclusions. So it could be things like, you know, people's race, it could be their age, their gender, their religion, you know, educational background, even personalities, you know, whether they're an introvert or an extrovert. You need to be able to identify, and you need to be exclusive. You need to take into account, you know, if someone's gender is, if someone's trans or someone's a homosexual, you need to take that. Why do you think it's so important to take all that into account? Somebody has left a message.
To avoid discriminating.
Can you not hear me? Because someone's just said they can't hear me. Justin, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Oh, no, it's okay. So
Yeah,
when we talk,
before, oh,
oh, couldn't you hear me before? Oh, okay. So when we look at inclusion, you know, we look at the fact that, you know, we look at trans people, we look at, you know, that we've got to look at the issue of LGBTQ quite a lot now. Why do you think it's quite dominant now within society?
They want acceptance.
Yeah. But because it's part of the law as well, isn't it? You know, you can't discriminate against anyone that's from any different background. You know, you should accept everyone, and you should be inclusive. Equality and diversity in the health and social care. So equality and diversity is about treating people like alike according to their needs. Okay, so you should make sure that everyone is given equality of opportunity. For example, you may need to give information in different formats. For example, you know, you may need to give information to someone in Braille, okay, or you may need to provide access to someone to a building in a wheelchair. You may need to give, you know, information to someone in Urdu or in Bengali, whatever language there is. You have to treat people equally. And what happens if you don't treat people equally? What do you think happens?
It triggers, it might bring out violence, triggers the annoyance and all that.
Triggers what? Sorry, I think,
It brings
If you know,
discriminating.
it brings discriminating, and it can bring annoyance, fighting, and it might cause the people get angry because
Yeah,
if you're not
but
treated like
it's not just that they'd get angry and things like that. Do you think it's a legal requirement as well?
Yes, it's a legal requirement
Yeah, because you know
to
it could
treat people the same.
yeah, it could turn into a case, you know, in the under again, we're going to look a little bit more at the Equality Act. You know, you should be able to treat people equally. Doesn't matter what their gender is, what their race is, but you should be treating everyone equally. And that doesn't happen quite a lot in society because we have this perception that, you know, again, I'll bring back the example that I brought in the last session because I think most of you I taught in the last session. Is that right? I think I did. Or you, I know, yeah, Claude and Portia, I think I taught some of you in the last sessions as well, and we looked at the fact that, you know, the law is, you know, really important in, you know, sorry, I gave you examples of care homes. Do you remember where the
Yes.
elderly people were being treated unfairly because, you know, they were old and they couldn't, you know, respond back? And that is one of the big things within health and social care, that elderly people, because of their age, you know, we age discriminate then, don't we? If we are treating them unlawfully, then we are age discriminating, and that could be a case in itself. Diversity can be described as difference. All individuals are different. The many different parts of a person's character and identity make them unique. Examples of the things may make up diversity are age, appearance, ability, disability, job role, health, background, gender, family, friends, sexual orientation, religion, belief, values, culture, race, national origins, and marital status. We need to take all that into account. A person's character cannot be same as another person's character. You know, you probably wouldn't be able to find someone who's same as me, maybe similar, but not the same. And why should we respect people's characters? Why do you think it's important to respect someone's characters?
So that you can live accordingly and meet the needs of the person, because if
Okay.
you use the character, you might not meet the needs of the person. You think, oh, this person is difficult to handle, so you always label the person as difficult, so you not even go beyond to even meet the needs of such
Yeah, so
person.
you've said a really good thing, Portia, where you said the needs of people. Now, if someone is disabled, must we meet their needs? We must meet their
by
needs.
supporting
Yeah.
supporting them, by supporting
Yeah.
them.
We must meet their needs by supporting them, or you, because what if someone's a wheelchair, you know, holder, and they can't, you know, they can't walk, and we're just leaving them on the side? Do you think we're being diverse and we're taking into account their needs?
No.
No.
So we need to provide a service to them, but also take into account different identities. Everyone is different.
Yeah.
The world would not be the same if everyone was the same. Okay, so you know, we all have different characteristics. We all, you know, have mood swings. We all are happy. We may be happy. Some people may not be happy. We may all have you know, some of us may have, maybe old, maybe have a disability. Some may have a mole on our face, the others may have spots, you know, so we all have these differences, and this is what makes us an individual, not the fact that, you know, we should all be the same. I don't believe in that. I never believe in everyone being the same. Okay, inclusion in the health and social care. Inclusion is being included with either a group or society as a whole. Inclusion links with diversity and equality. It is important to understand someone's differences so that you can include them and treat them equally and fairly. People can feel excluded if they are not able to join in activities, and excluding people because of their difference is known as discrimination. All workers in health and social care must make sure they work in an inclusive way to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to take part when they want to. This is especially true about people taking part in their own care and support, so that it is truly centered on them as a person. So, for example, I'll give you another example, and it's not in the health and social care, but I'll give you an example. For example, I work. I am a chair for an organization that deals with women that suffer domestic violence. Okay. And we have to cater for them women inclusively. Okay. So that means we do not get women from, we do not just get women from the British background. We get women from African background. We get women from Pakistani background. We get women from Indian background. So must we cater for all them? Sorry?
Yeah, you
Hello?
must care for them, no?
Yeah, we must cater for all of them. Why must we cater for all of them?
Because you must not discriminate.
Excellent. So, for example, the lady from the UK celebrates Christmas. The lady from Pakistan celebrates Eid. The lady from, just an example, India celebrates Diwali. Must we cater for all their needs so that they're not left out?
Yeah.
Yes, we must cater for all their needs, and we must make sure that, you know, they are joined in and they feel equal and inclusion. So we here, when we look at inclusion within another health and social care setting, I'll give you an example, is some examples of using inclusion in health and social care is using inclusive language. For example, avoiding language that is biased towards a particular gender. So when speaking with or about patients, asking patients for their preferred names and pronouns before making any sort of assumptions. Now, you calling me Shazia, I don't mind. But then if you call me Shaz, you have to ask me, don't you? Why do you think you need to make sure you are using the preferred names?
Yeah.
Do some people like to be called Shazia, or do they like to be called Miss Shazia? Depends, doesn't it? Every
Depends,
individual is the same. So you need to make sure you are asking patients and asking individuals what their preferred names and pronouns they are doing before any sort of assumptions are being made. Okay, you can't just go, for example, Oyi, you can't just go to Mehvish and say, Mehvish, you know, can you do this for me? Mehvish might be saying, oh no, can you refer to me as Miss Mahmood? Do you understand? So sometimes that is not using your inclusivity. So you need to be really make sure what their preferred name is. And everyone has a different preferred name. I don't mind being calling Shaz sometimes at work by my students, but sometimes my students will call me Miss. And sometimes they'll call me Madam. And it's dependent on their education and where they've been brought up. I don't mind being called that. But some people have this issue around, you know, inclusion and the fact that what they, especially in the health and social care, what patients, and you've got elderly patients that like to be referred to as Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith. Do you know what
lady.
I mean?
Some people prefer lady. Come in, lady.
Sorry?
I said some people prefer lady.
Yes, they do prefer lady. Yeah. When I used to go to court, I remember there used to be a judge there, and she used to want to be called my lady. I remember that. But like I've had students that have been international students, and when I've been teaching them years ago, because I've been teaching a long time, they used to call me madam. They still call me madam or ma'am. And I don't get offended. I just think it's different. Do you understand? Because I've always been called Shazia or Shaz by my students. And then I get, it's nice. It's very polite. It's very nice. So I don't get offended. It's just different people. And I think that's really important, because when you bring cultures into it, different people use names differently, don't they? Culturally.
Yeah, even some people find it difficult to call elderly people by name.
Yeah, they do.
Because that's from their culture, because that's from where they're coming from.
Yeah. I've also had young students that are about 18 years old, just coming into education, just coming into university, and they call me Miss all day. And I say, I'm not at school. And they go, yeah, but we're used to it because we used to call our teachers Miss at school. And so they call me Miss. I don't mind, but I just think everyone has a different perception, and we should be inclusive to that. We shouldn't be discriminatory to that. Equality Act, as I mentioned earlier, really important Act 2010, and the Equality Act became law in 2010, and it covers everyone in Britain and protects people from discrimination, victimization, and harassment and discrimination. So it protects everyone from that. And the introduction of this act was to assist, like I said, promoting dignity in health and social care profession. Equalities legislation is replaced by anti-discrimination legislation. This area of law is constantly evolving as society recognizes new areas of inequalities, and over the years of laws have been passed in response to changing public perceptions and the development of the Human Rights Act. So these laws are coming into place all the time and changing because society is changing. But also, is there a need for the change in law?
Yes, because what was okay maybe 10 years ago
Excellent.
might
Yeah.
not work in this 21st century that we are in. Some of them might be archaic that we don't need it, and some
Yes.
need to be adjusted to make it equal right for everyone.
Yeah, because laws change. Historically, again, I'm going back to the fact that historically women were paid less than men and they were doing the same job. And that's the perception, and that is discrimination. Now, if you go into a job and the man is doing the same job as you should be paid the same amount of money. Okay? That is something that's still happening in this day and age. And, the laws are there to change it because it's changing the fact that, society is changing. And also, if you're doing the same job as a man, it doesn't mean that he should be paid more than you, should it? But you've got to remember that glass ceiling is always going to be there. And I always think that, sometimes, it's very hard to break that glass ceiling where the men tend to get paid more than the woman. And it's happening slowly, though. Anti-discriminatory practice is fundamental to the ethical basis of care provision and critical to the protection of people's dignity. The Equality Act protects those receiving care and the workers and provide it from them being treated unfairly because of any sort of characteristics that are protected under the legislation. So the protected characteristics are age, disability, gender reassignment, which is a growing concern now, more than ever before, marriage and civil partnerships, pregnancy and maternity, race, this includes ethnic or national origins, colour or nationality, religion or belief, so this includes lack of belief, sex, sexual orientation. So, these are characteristics within the Equality Act. And there are, these are some differences depending on which protected characteristics. So you have. Can anyone give me an example of someone that may, be that may be discriminated in any one of these characteristics? What about disability? Give me an example of disability.
Example of disability, maybe someone that is blind, deaf.
Yeah.
Or
Can you just give me 1 minute? I'm just going to pause this 1 minute. Sorry. Okay. So when we look at protective characteristics, you were giving me an example of someone with a disability. What was the example? Sorry.
Maybe you can't talk, disability may not talk, maybe deaf, dumb, or can't walk.
Yeah. That could be a disability. What about someone with, again, someone that may be protected under the gender reassignment? What could that be?
Like using the toilet.
Sorry?
Like insisting that somebody that is he call himself a female, by you telling the person that you are a male.
Yeah.
Said
Yeah, that
person wants
yeah,
to be addressed as a female, so
yeah,
you have to
yeah.
address said person as a female, even though by physical you can see the person as a male. You have to
Yes.
address the
What about Mevish? You were saying something. What were you saying,
I was
Mevish?
gonna say, could you also say like if the gender was like, for example, if there was a girl and then she was like becoming a guy and she goes into the girls' toilets, like someone
Yes.
can say something like
Yeah,
that's one.
yeah, that's a big thing. Now, the other big thing is, in the law in prisons, if someone is a trans and they've been sentenced to some, custodial sentence in prison, if they are transing to a woman, were born a man and they changing their
Transgender.
gender to sorry, they were born a man and they're changing their gender to a female. What prison will they put them in?
The woman.
No, the man one. The prison in the UK will put the date of birth, the birth that they've been
All
born with.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And this
okay.
is quite a big thing at the moment. There's lots of controversy with that. That's why they have the gender reassignment certificate to say, they challenge it, but they mainly base your sentence on what you were born with. So that does make it difficult
I think that's the
for
best idea.
Yeah, it makes it difficult because people find out in the prisons and then things happen. And, there's been loads of people that have been beaten up in prison because, they're changing their gender and things like that. So, it needs to be changed. The law needs to be changed on that.
Me, I can argue that because some people, they have
Sorry?
not some of them, they're just changing their gender, like they're
They haven't
changing.
transitioned fully, have they?
They've not done the transition properly. So
Yeah.
for you to change, like you are a female and you have not changed your organs to
Yes.
female, and they
Yes.
put you in female, anything can happen. So
Yeah.
it's better they put them in where the bat said you are male or you're female.
Yeah, that's what they tend to do. If you haven't fully transitioned, that's different. But these are some characteristics when we take into account any sort of discrimination that these are protected characteristics. So we've got direct discrimination. This occurs when someone is treated less favorably than someone else in similar circumstances on grounds of a protected characteristics. For example, a promotion comes up at your workplace. The employer believes that people's memories get worse as they get older, so doesn't tell one of his older employees about it because he thinks his employer wouldn't be able to do the job. That's unfair, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's direct discrimination that you are discriminating against. What are they discriminating against there?
Age.
Age. So that's really important. That's one of the protected characteristics. Then we've got indirect discrimination. And this occurs when a condition or requirement is applied equally to everyone, but some are unable to comply because of protected characteristics. This would be unlawful unless the condition or requirement is objectively justifiable. Has anyone got any examples for that? Indirect.
Like if a position is there and you want to apply, even though they will not directly tell you that okay, people of maybe of color cannot apply,
Yeah.
but all people that of color will try as much as they want to apply that position, but they will never get, but they will put it there open that
Yeah.
anyone can apply, but within the selection, they will never accept the people of color.
Yeah, and also things like, if you're a female under indirect discrimination, I'll give you an example. For example, a local authority is planning to redevelop some of its housing. It decides to hold consultation events in the evening. Many of the female residents complain that they cannot attend these meetings because of childcare responsibilities. So these are kind of indirect discrimination, but they're not showing that it's happening. The Equality Act replaces previous anti-discrimination legislation and regulations. So discrimination is an action that is often based on a person's negative attitude towards others. The following can all lead to discrimination: labeling, stereotyping, prejudice. It involves treating people differently because of assumptions made about a person or a group of people based on their differences. Negative attitudes and behaviors exist in society that can lead to individuals or groups being oppressed or disadvantaged. So labeling, this is to give a group of people a name because of characteristics. For example, someone who's a goth, who dresses as a goth, people who self-identify as goths may well be happy with that label, but others may not. And you know, it's very sad that we look at the fact that we label people, because it's so, you know, it's not the right way to do things, to be honest. Labeling is an act of attaching a label to an individual, as we mentioned, a goth. Another example would be a person can be labeled as a criminal. Once such a label has been created for an individual, this becomes his master status. The individual is unable to go back to his normal lifestyle because of his label. And this highlights that labeling can be negative for the individual who has been labeled. So, you know, this person, excuse me, sorry, person may want to change his, this person may want to change his life, and he's been labeled as a criminal. And that's really sad, isn't it? Because, you know, we as a society don't give him a chance then, do we? And it's negative, it's not positive for the individual. The next one is stereotyping, to have an opinion about a group or applying this to anyone belonging to this group. So, for example, no woman can park a car. A stereotype is a generalization of a group of people. This can be based on prior assumptions of a group from which an individual will build a simplified outlook to a particular group of people. For example, boys are naughty and girls are weak are some examples of stereotyping. This points out that it provides a generalized opinion of a group, which can be false for a majority of minority. There can be positive stereotyping as well as negative stereotyping. And, you know, it's not, is it good to stereotype? It's like having this perception of someone doing something. Is it a good thing to stereotype?
No.
No, especially saying women can't park the car. I think women will be offended at that, you know, and it's not good. It's this perception we have, and we're stereotyping people that, you know, women can't park the car. The next one is prejudice, and this could mean to not like someone just because of the group they belong to. So it could be like someone who has a hostile attitude towards a group of individual members, generally just on grounds of you know, grounds or any sort of evidence. It's characterized as stereotype beliefs. It's very important to you know, not be prejudiced against anyone's beliefs. 1.1, define and analyze examples of prejudice, stereotyping, and oppression. So what is prejudice? As we mentioned earlier, prejudice is an assumption or an opinion about someone simply based on the person's membership to a particular group. Prejudice is seen to have three components: cognitive, affective, and behavioral. Main causes of prejudice. The psychological basis for prejudice is these include people's key values, the way they see themselves and others, their sense of social identity and social norms that define who is included or excluded from social groups. What is stereotyping? Stereotyping is making a judgment about an individual that is influenced by a mental state associating members of a group to which the individual is perceived as belonging more strongly than others. For example, elderly people are bad tippers. Asian people are good at maths. Women like to talk a lot. And gay men are flamboyant. This is stereotyping. What else could be stereotyping? Anyone got any more examples of stereotyping?
There's like if there's a specific thing that a man can do, a woman cannot do.
Yeah.
Boys are better at sports.
Yes. What do they say about the good example about stereotyping about blonde women? What do they say in the UK about blonde women are bimbos? They tend to say that all blonde women are not clever. You know, they're a bit, blonde. That's why they're a bit of a bimbo. So these kind of stereotyping, what impact does it have on an individual?
It's looked down upon the individual.
Yeah. And it identifies, that, like
It's
you said,
affecting self-esteem.
sorry?
It may affect self-esteem.
Yeah. But, like you say, women cannot do what a man can do. That is quite offensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's quite, and I think sometimes, some of you men on here, I think we can work better than you, those women, yeah. Flawed. What do you think? Do you stereotype women? I don't know if he's on. Justin?
I don't mind. Can you repeat the question, please?
Would you stereotype women in your profession? If you were working and you're a nurse and the woman's another nurse, would you say, I could do this job better than you?
No, I can't do everything. I can't just...
No?
Yeah.
You wouldn't, and you would also, you might get a punch from that woman, mightn't you? She might end up saying, oh, no, I can do it better than you, and then, causing... So you should never stereotype people. I think it's really important that, we have this perception about equality and diversity, and stereotyping is one thing that's really bad, and, sometimes we don't know that we're doing it as well, but we should have that perception in our head. What is oppression? Oppression is the social act of placing severe restrictions on an individual, group, or institution. Examples of oppression are sexism, heterosexism, ableism, classism, ageism, and anti-Semitism. Oppression occurs when one person exercises authority or power in an unfair, abusive, cruel, or needlessly controlling way. For example, a parent who locks a child in the closet could be said to be oppressing their child. Slavery, the refusal to allow women to inherit their own property and denial of equal rights for people with disabilities, and the involuntary commitment of people who deviate from social norms are all examples of oppression. So oppression can be in the form of, not allowing a woman to work, or like we said, the issue of slavery, which is quite a big thing in the UK at the moment, human slavery. The principles of social psychology, including the ABCs, affect behavior and cognition, applied to the study of stereotyping, prejudice, and discrimination. And that diagram is the ABCs effect, where prejudice and in-group favoritism. Then we've got behavior, which is discrimination, and then cognition, which is stereotyping. So in this, it's just asking you, explain using a clear account of your understanding, including details like why and how. Definition of a term of equality, which we kind of looked at. Can anyone else give me what they think inclusion is?
Inclusion is involving everyone.
Okay.
From
Understanding the differences.
And
what is an example of inclusion?
An example is like when you're maybe you are discussing a topic or something, you give everyone opportunity to contribute. You include everyone, yeah.
Even if they can't speak English, you provide them leaflets that are in Urdu, Bengali, Japanese, whatever. You provide them details so they're inclusive. You're inclusive. And discrimination, what do you think a definition of discrimination is in your mind?
Discrimination when you're giving some people your like some are included and some are not included, that's discrimination.
Yeah, so you could, what kind of stuff can you discriminate on?
You can discriminate on age, religion,
sex.
Yes.
Sex, yeah.
Do you think when you go into this is going into for a job, do you think some people discriminate on the basis of your religion, on the basis of what you wear?
Yeah.
Yes. There's been cases on wearing the hijab, wearing the jubba, you know, the Islamic dress, where they've not got the job on the basis of that. There's also been discrimination, which is quite a famous case, the case of Smith and British Airways, I think. And that case was where a woman was wearing a cross and she was working as an air hostess, and the British Airways wouldn't allow her to wear that cross. And that's part of a religious belief. So it was quite a big case. There's been loads of cases of discrimination where people have been discriminated on the basis of, you know, their gender, their age. Age is a big one as well. It didn't used to be historically, but age has become one of the protected characteristics, but it's a big one that tends to be discriminated again. When we talk about discrimination, a big one that could be taken into account again is, you know, the fact that, you know, women are discriminated against because of the fact that, you know, they sometimes now this new flexible hours of work has come in. You know, that was the reason was because people were being, you know, having to go out and collect their children from school, and, you know, they had kids, and that's a discrimination. You know, the pregnancy and maternity was a form of discrimination as well, but these are protected characteristics. They can't be changed. Okay, some examples of your understanding of what diversity is. What do you think your understanding of what diversity is?
It's a caution, when diversity can be the differences.
Yeah.
Between
So
two,
what should you be doing as an individual if you're working in the health and social care sector, just example, and you've got some patients there and they're all from different diverse cultures and things, what must you do?
You should
Respect
understand
and
this.
recognize.
You must recognize their different cultures. You must
that's
recognize
right,
their diversity. Must you embrace it?
Yes.
Yes, you must embrace it. So, for example, if you've got someone in the hospital who's celebrating Eid and they've got Ramadan, must you be acceptance and you know, identify their cultures, the fact that they're fasting, they may want, even though, you know, they are exempt if they are in hospital. I'm just trying to give you an example that, you know, you must embrace their culture. You must, if you try to, like, for example, schools, okay, schools have children from different cultures. So, you know, when it comes to Christmas, they have to embrace the diversity of people that, you know, celebrate Christmas. When it comes to Eid, they have to be diverse and try to, you know, embrace and celebrate, you know, the different cultures they've got. So they have to celebrate Eid, Diwali, Christmas. You know, it helps them identify that they're using diversity within their schools, because it's a big thing. And, you know, it could, if you, you know, you must as an individual be able to accept everyone's cultures and, you know, their religions. Example one, so here, a community group organizes activities in a village hall that does not have access that is suitable for individuals who are wheelchair users. To describe means to create a picture with words, but not simply writing a list of bullet points. Okay, so if you had to, you know, look at the fact that, you know, they don't have, why do you think signs are so important? So if you look, if you saw this sign, could you understand what the sign meant?
Yes, it's important because the disabled is all.
It gives direction. It gives
It's for when you're parking as well.
Yeah. So when you're parking as well, you know, and when you're inside as well, Mehvish,
The
you know,
toilet
inside
doors.
the hospitals, you've got all these signs, and these signs help people. You know, there may be signs that, you know, there's Braille, you know, this work is in Braille, you know, so that people, when they come in and, you know, they can't see or anything, they can touch and feel, can't they?
Yeah.
So It's trying to, these signs are there to trying to
giving information.
Yeah, give information, but also provide alternatives for someone who has a disability, or someone who can't see, or someone who's deaf and dumb. These kind of things, these signs will help them. And if some things are danger as well, going where there's medication, you'd have a sign there, wouldn't you, to say that this is dangerous, do not enter this room, things like that. And, these kind of signs are really important when it comes to people with, if they're from diversity, different cultures, and they can't read as well, sometimes the signs will help them. And, simple signs like where the toilet is, where the reception is, these kind of things. People that can't read will be able to identify things from a sign, and it does help. So these are some of the, I'll just go back to the signs actually, and ask you a question around that. Why do you think it's so important that any organization, be it a hospital, a business, or any organization, have these signs? Why do you think it's so important? Is it just because they want people to understand, or is it because it's a legal requirement as well?
It's a legal requirement.
It's illegal, it's both. Then people will understand it's both. It's a legal requirement, and it makes people to understand.
Yeah.
And
it makes people understand, but it's also under the Equality Act and all the health and safety acts and all these acts that are in place. It is a requirement, a legal requirement, that you must provide these kind of signs. If there's an area that people work in and it's quite dangerous, you must provide these signs, and you must provide health and safety. So this is a form of health and safety. If someone is not able to understand anything, just example, an elderly patient is walking down and you've got a wet floor sign on and they don't see it or anything, or they fall, at least the sign's there to say that, it was provided, the service was provided for them. And so it is a clear way for them to understand certain things, about wheelchairs, about toilets, about, like you said, parking, any sort of thing, but it's for them to understand. Okay, so some of the references here that we've used for today's session is Key Social Legislation Equality and Open Text, which you can click on to use for stereotyping, prejudice and discrimination, and also the skills for care and developing workforce. So you could link onto these websites. The resources the links are all available for you. Any sort of ebooks and journals are on Moodle. Additional resources are on Moodle. Any sort of questions or anything you need to email will be on the Learner Works and UK Varsity. The submission of your assignment obviously is 2 weeks after you've completed the unit, which would be next week. You'd complete the unit. So after that, 2 weeks of completion. And the last session, which is the Sunday, will go through the assignment session. And your assignments need to be all submitted on Learner Work at UK Varsity. And all the requirements for the assignment is on Moodle. Are you all okay with getting onto Moodle and things?
No.
Yes.
If you've got any issues of getting onto Moodle, email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk and they will identify any sort of issues that you've got and get you onto Moodle. Has anyone got any questions for today's session?
No.
Anyone got any
No.
questions? No?
No, it's okay.
Are you sure? It's so nice to have you all contribute and get involved, because it just shows that, your involvement is really important when it comes to, getting to do the assignment and things like that. So I do appreciate it when you all get involved. I just don't want people to feel like I'm just throwing questions at you. It's good when you all get involved. And thank you for attending today's session, and thank you for your patience as well. And what I'll do is I'll see you in tomorrow's session, which is Learning Outcome 2.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Thanks for your
later.
time.
Bye.
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 Excuse me, please. Tomorrow's session, is it also 10?
Yes, it's 10 o'clock. All the sessions are
10
10 o'clock.
o'clock?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.